And I'm glad that he admitted it.
For friends and family of the victims, some relief, but also anger. And Toronto digs out after its biggest blast of winter this year. Now the cold weather sets in. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. Guilty times 8. Serial killer Bruce MacArthur admits to murdering 8 men in a packed downtown courtroom, a moment many in that courtroom had been waiting to hear.
It's actually quite relieving, I think, because we have an answer now.
We unfortunately can never bring these men back. I believe that this is the best possible outcome for the families and the community.
As MacArthur admitted to the murders one by one, the court released a summary of his crimes. In it, details that were not yet public about what MacArthur did to his victims and what he kept from them. John Lancaster was in that courtroom. He takes us through what they heard, but first, he reminds us who the victims were.
The first victim was Skandaraj Navaratnam. The court heard he was killed on September 26, 2010, and his DNA eventually located on a leather lacing MacArthur kept. 3 months later, Abdul Basir Faizi was murdered. His vehicle located not far from the Mallory Crescent home, where the victim's remains were found in planters and a backyard ravine. Majid Kayan was murdered almost 2 years later. He was sexually assaulted, killed, and his body staged. Police sources told CBC News they recovered photographs as part of that investigation. Then a 3-year gap. Sarush Mahmoodi was killed in August 2015. The court was told his murder was sexual in nature and his body also staged. From here, MacArthur begins to kill more frequently. Karushna Kanagaratnam was killed on January 6, 2016. Again, police found evidence of staging and use of a ligature. 4 months later, MacArthur bound, sexually assaulted, and killed Dean Lissowick. And about a year after that, Salim Essen was bound and also killed. 2 months later, the last murder, and a big break for investigators. Security cameras captured Andrew Kinsman getting into MacArthur's van. They later seized Kinsman's calendar, and inside it read, Bruce, on the date June 26, 2017. The court was told MacArthur was keeping mementos of his victims. Navaratnam's bracelet was found in MacArthur's Thorncliffe Park apartment, along with jewelry belonging to Lissowick and Essen's notebook. Police found MacArthur's van at a body shop, and inside, DNA, the court was told, belonging to Navaratnam, Mahmoodi, and Essen, along with a coat MacArthur used to stage some of his other victims. They also found an unspecified murder weapon. As the details emerged in court today, MacArthur, the once burly 67-year-old landscaper, appeared shaken, hunched, softly saying yes when asked if the allegations were true.
Just thinking about the last moments of those men, it comes to me quite often, particularly the 2 that I met very briefly.
The killer was hardly recognizable to Karen Fraser, the owner of that house on Mallory Crescent.
Well, this man, if we're being factual, is much older, stooped, lost a lot of weight. I knew a man who was always energetic, enthusiastic, always eager to get on to the next thing. And this is just a shuffling, broken man, as he should be, as he should.
Police, criticized by some for failing to solve the murders years ago, said today's pleas brought no wins for anyone connected to the case.
It's been tough on my family. It's been tough on the entire team's family. But again, we do this for we did this for the family. We did this for the communities. People wanted answers. I'm hoping that we brought some of those answers to them.
MacArthur will return to this court again next week for sentencing. He faces an automatic life sentence with no chance of parole till he's at least 91 years old. But the judge could also impose consecutive life sentences, bringing that sentences up to technically some 200 years behind bars.
That was our John Lancaster reporting. We want to go now to our Adrian Chung, who joins us live from Church Street. So, Adrian, you've spoken to a friend of one of the men that was killed by MacArthur.
That's right, Mike. I spoke to Kevin Nash, who was a close friend of Skandaraj Navaratnam, better known as Skanda to his friends. And according to the agreed statement of facts, again, Skanda was the first confirmed victim of Bruce MacArthur. And Nash tells me tonight that he is having a very difficult night, still processing Skanda's death. He actually said that he met Bruce MacArthur twice when Skanda and MacArthur first began dating in 2009. And tonight he feels a lot of sadness, a lot of anger as he thinks about Skanda and the other victims. Have a listen to Nash describe his friend in his own words.
I'm just still lost about it all because I don't understand it, but I am glad that it's over, and I'm glad that he admitted it because I was not looking forward to a court case. What makes me angry with Bruce MacArthur is that Skanda was thinking he found something special. You know, the guy got him into landscaping. He was all excited about it, and here we are now. Skanda would do anything for anybody if they ever needed his help, and he just wanted to fit into Canada. He was a very humble, sincere person.
Now, Nash says he understands that there is sentencing scheduled for MacArthur, but he says he won't be in the courtroom for it, doesn't want to be in the same room as his friend's killer, and will be watching from afar, Mike.
Well, Adrian, we know a lot of people in the area really taking this news hard. We know support services are being offered to people in the area. Tell us about them.
Well, there are certainly a number of community groups that are offering up counseling, especially as there are more details now being learned about the victims' deaths. That includes ACT, which specializes in counseling for people living with HIV. But now they're also expanding their counseling when it comes to the Bruce MacArthur case. And they say that some of the people that have approached them even tonight, there have already been some pretty illuminating conversations. Have a listen.
It brings up a lot of emotions of sadness, fear, and some of the conversations we've had are just how to protect ourselves, especially in the online world, and how can we get over this as a community, and how can we utilize our strengths and resilience as a community to come together and really tackle this issue.
Now, ACT and other community groups like the 519 have called on people that if they are struggling with the case and learning about the details of the Bruce MacArthur case, that they should not hesitate to reach out for help. Mike.
Okay, thank you, Adrian Chung, reporting live for us tonight. And we will have more reaction to Bruce MacArthur's guilty pleas still ahead. We're going to talk with other residents in Toronto's Gay Village, of course, where MacArthur preyed on his victims. It's coming up a little later in our newscast. Well, this time last night, we couldn't even see the CN Tower for all the snow falling. Now, the city skyline may look beautiful tonight, but it may not feel that way. We are under an extreme cold weather warning tonight. That's after a major winter storm dumped up to 32 centimeters of snow across the GTA. That, of course, was seen early this morning as people like me tried to dig out underneath piles of snow everywhere. Although crews have been out nonstop, we're hearing of some streets still covered in snow after the city had to dig itself out of one of the biggest snowstorms we have seen in years. Greg Ross reports.
The problems began overnight as roads and highways quickly became treacherous.
It's a disaster out there. Everyone's stuck everywhere I go.
The snow so deep in some areas, even the plows struggle to get through. The city's entire fleet of plows and salt trucks worked through the night and into the morning. This dashcam video captured a man almost getting hit by one as he cleared off his car. Others woke up to find their cars buried, and those who were able to get out onto the road quickly discovered it was a slow drive.
It's all icy, and the city hasn't plowed it yet. They haven't put salt yet.
The city's main focus today was digging out side streets.
It's going to be an 18 to 20-hour operation.
It was also a busy morning for property owners.
Lots and lots of shoveling.
The sheer volume of snow is more than the GTA has seen in years.
I've been here since 1969. I've seen them before, but it's been a long time. since I've seen one like this.
It may not be everybody's cup of tea, but waking up to a winter wonderland was a welcome sight for some.
It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's nice out here. It's Canada, it's winter.
Colette is away tonight, so Ian Black joins us with a look at some frigid weather we can expect. Ian?
Mike, a dangerous caliber of cold, extreme cold warnings are in effect. You have to take this seriously. Skin can freeze within minutes if you aren't protected. So you really have to make the necessary precautions if you're going out. And I would suggest, even in your car, to bring extra warm clothes if the car breaks down or you get into a fender bender or something. It's the combination of the cold and the wind which leads to the possibility, or at least the risk, of frostbite. So you've got to pull out all the winter garb and really bundle up heading out. Temperatures begin to moderate over the weekend, but it's a little bit more of an active pattern setting up by then. Okay, so let's take a look at these temperatures. Not getting out of the minus teens tomorrow, in combination with those winds, gives you wind chills in the minus 30s and around minus 31. Okay, it's that caliber of cold. I'm going to put in a chance of seeing some flurries here in the afternoon, but it doesn't look like much. You'd be pretty unlucky. If you take a look at the snow squalls coming in off some of the lakes here, they get close enough in the afternoon that you can get some of those flurries. My full report is coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, Ian.
I'm Farah Morali in the Church Wellesley Village, a community that's been profoundly impacted by the case of Bruce MacArthur. Coming up, I will bring you a reaction from people who live and work here to MacArthur pleading guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder.
I'm hoping to see that he serves life times 8.
It's been 2 years since a young man walked into a mosque and opened fire on worshippers in Quebec City. Tonight, the 6 men who were killed are being remembered right across the country. In Toronto, an event at Queen's Park was held in their honor.
Tonight, we're here as a community to remember.
It was just after evening prayers when Alexandre Bissonnette opened fire on worshippers. 6 men died and 5 were critically injured. Now, Bissonnette has pleaded guilty to 6 counts of first-degree murder and 6 counts of attempted murder. He is facing as many as 150 years in prison and will be sentenced next month. A memorial at the mosque includes photos of the men who died and a book of condolences, somber reminders of the violence. And it is absolutely incredible. No one was seriously hurt or killed. Take a look at this video. This is outside of the Cordis Community Center pool last week. Watch as that red car drives straight towards and then into the building. It then went into the pool deck area and came to a stop inside the children's pool. No breaking. Thankfully, no injuries. A 36-year-old female driver was arrested under the Mental Health Act and is facing a handful of charges, including damage to property and endangering life. Durham police want to speak to anyone who was in the center or parking lot when this happened. Well, back to our top story tonight. For 1 year, we've known Bruce MacArthur's name, but for much longer than that, people in Toronto's gay village have been suspecting someone like him was out there, someone who was preying on their community. Farah Morali has a reaction from Church in Wellesley.
My name's Nicole. I'm a friend of Andrew Kinsman's. He was one to give the shirt off his back. If you needed something, he was there.
Nicole, what's your reaction today to this guilty plea from Bruce MacArthur?
Shock, dismay. There's no finality for friends or families of Andrews. There is no closure. There is no closure for families or friends or loved ones who have lost people to murder.
My name is Rodney. I live in the city. It's time to move on. This has been going on for too long. I know 3 people that he killed. It's sad and still that how can anybody do this?
Do you feel there's a sense of closure, that this is over now?
Yes and no, because they can't bring these people back now because what he done. Yes, people will live on, but memories of what did happen, that would sink to, it will live forever.
My name is Nicky Ward. I like to think of myself as an LGBT advocate. Obviously, the idea that he's confessed to these terrible crimes is a good thing. My concern is that this shortchanges the necessary grieving process and the opportunities for learning that might emerge from a trial.
Hi, my name is Grant Howard, and I live in the village just north of Wellesley. I'm delighted that some common sense has happened here, because it would have been very painful for a trial to go on and on and on.
Hi, my name is Haran Vijayanathan, and I'm the Executive Director at the Alliance for South Asian AIDS Prevention. It's just going to start the conversation around how do we move forward and how do we heal as a community and how we heal as individuals within this community. I think that's where that process is going to now start, because a lot of folks have had conversations with him. A lot of folks have seen him in this village, eating and drinking in the businesses on here. So people are starting to reel with that and understand, well, how can someone like that still be a part of our community?
Here at 560 Wellesley, community leaders are hosting a drop-in counseling session. Anyone from the community is welcome to come by to sit and talk about what happened in court today and the impact this guilty plea has on their lives and the community as it moves forward. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Ian Black is with us tonight and has your long-range forecast. Pretty clear what season we're dealing with, Ian.
Well, here we are in the depth of winter, and boy, it looks and feels like it. You get the record snows, you're now the wind and the cold, and it's some light at the end of the tunnel, but I've got to warn you right now, you really have to take this stuff seriously. You do not want to be caught outside unprepared for any length of time because of the caliber of the cold and the wind and the risk of frostbite, okay? Let's take a look at the big picture here. Jet stream is way down to the south, so you know that cold air is coming in here. You've got low pressure and high pressure in the prairies, and the difference between the two sets up that strong wind field. And it's not just going to be tonight, it's not going to be just tomorrow. I think it'll last right on into Thursday as well. So this is a multi-day extreme cold setup. And you really do have to take this seriously. But gradually this will relent somewhat, and by the time the weekend comes along, mercifully, temperatures will recover. But check out some of these wind gusts, or forecast winds. 20 to 40, easy, with the caliber of cold that's coming in. It's a nasty combination, and you really do need to take this seriously. Here are some gusts, and you could get gusts over 60. Okay, so can you imagine walking down Yonge Street and that wind in your face and the temperatures around minus 19? It's just a no-win scenario if you are not completely bundled up, which is why I say pack extra stuff in your car if you have to, just in case something happens. You have your parka in there, or your boots, your mitts. So you've got several days of pretty chilly weather. Gradually it starts to moderate. And other than a chance of some flurries tomorrow afternoon, it's kind of storm-free here. Here comes the moderation, but again, it turns into a much more active pattern. Our next chance of snow likely on Monday. So bundle up, take it easy out there. Here's a beautiful shot from Joanne showing that cold wind coming across that new snowpack. And I got to warn you, it's a bad combination. I don't know how they do it. My hat's off to them. And then I put it back on quickly because it's so cold. Cyclists in the middle of winter, thanks to Mandy for that. That's a look at your weather. Stay warm.
Okay, thanks, Ian.
Help me. It's like the walls are caving in.
Well, it could be a big night for Shawn Mendes at the Juno Awards in London, Ontario in March. The nominations came out today, and he and The Weeknd lead the pack with 6 nods, including Artists of the Year and Album of the Year. Now, other nominees included Alessia Cara, Michael Bublé, and Tory Lanez. Now, the other big Juno news today, Sarah McLachlan will host the award gala. She'll be on Q talking about that tomorrow. CBC will broadcast the Juno Awards live from London on Sunday, March 17th. As we go to break, here's some more from Shawn Mendes.
I just can't.
School boards in both Peel and Halton declared a snow day today, canceling classes. But here in Toronto, students are still in school since it was just school buses that were canceled. So our Kelda Yun headed out to Brampton, where kids and parents took advantage of the day off.
This is awesome! Here at Major Oaks Park, the hills are alive with the sounds of kids having fun in the snow. 8-year-old Elijah Brown and his cousin Jaden were pretty excited to wake up to news of a snow day.
Are you glad school's canceled?
Yep.
It's awesome.
11-year-old Grace Calloway and her friend Michaela are also going tobogganing down the hill, though at different speeds.
That's awesome.
What's your favorite part of tobogganing?
Go really fast.
You like going really fast?
No, not really.
It's not just kids thrilled school is canceled. Grace's sister, also named Michaela, is a teacher in Brampton. She says she loves snow days.
As a teacher now, yeah, I definitely do. I think just as much as the kids do. Ever since we've been in Brampton, this has always been the go-to hill.
The last time the Peel District School Board canceled classes was April 16th of last year. But back then, it was due to freezing rain and ice pellets, so people stayed indoors. This time, some parents are even taking the day off to spend it outdoors with their kids, including Sean Dunkley and his beloved Pooch.
Well, I was always having to go down to bring the toboggan up when the kids were down, so or the kids would be bringing it down.
Go, boy! Go!
So I just said, you know what, why don't we hook the dog up and let the dog get some exercise. Good boy! Good boy!
This group of students from New Hawk Nation visiting from Bella Coola, BC were supposed to go snowshoeing, but were told there was too much snow, so they are here instead.
This was not meant to be our plan today, but it's still really fun.
Now, all the snow, of course, it will still be around tomorrow and the next day, but all these kids, they will be back in school. So many of them, they're staying here for as long as possible. As for me, while I'm here, I'm going to try to get at least one good run. Kelda Yun, CBC News, Brampton! Oh my God. Oh, my face! That was awesome, thank you.
Who had more fun, Kelda or the kids there? Well, that's our newscast for tonight. Ever break your expensive phone and wish you could fix it for yourself? Well, tomorrow on Metro Morning, we're going to hear about a private member's bill that is trying to bring to Ontario so-called right to repair legislation. The EU and several U.S. states are trying to pass regulations to make it easier to open up your iPhone and fix it yourself. You can hear about that tomorrow morning at 7:40 a.m. on CBC Radio 1 right here in Toronto. I'll see you back here tomorrow night on CBC Television at 11. Good night.